Hello everybody, I hope you're having a great day. It's a beautiful day here right now. I suppose you can't see it very nicely because it's totally overexposed, but I'll give you some B-roll in a minute anyway. Just first I wanted to say I'm shooting right here. I've got this little setup that looks completely ridiculous, but you know, amateur photography, gotta get the shots no matter what ugly setup you have. And yeah, I was throwing my little, where is it gone? There it is, the EFS 28 to 135 millimeters. I was throwing this like this and trying to get a nice shot of that, and yeah, I think it worked out rather well. Here you go, the shot. That's what I'm probably going to be posting on Instagram today, so in case you want to check it out and check out my other photography Instagram link, I don't know, in the description. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Anyway, this is actually not a real lens. My sister gave this to me. It's a mug from, what does it say, Twitfish. Really nice thing. So I'm out here in the woods right now and I was shooting this picture as I showed you, but also I wanted to have a little walk and tell you a few things I learned from my first shoot. Not photo shoot, but actually my first short film shoot. I've shot many things, as you might have seen in my last video, the improvements video, just that that was pretty much the first short film because I have to send an application to the college I want to go to, and that is a short film I need to send. And I wanted to give you a few tips because I learned a lot from my first shoot, and it's got all sorts of tips, so just come along and listen a little. But first, it's time for some B-roll. Uh-oh, I'm gonna have to clean this later. So I found a nice spot here to talk, and yeah, the first thing I learned and the first tip I want to give you is plan more time than you think you're going to need, because if you plan 1 hour, let's say, for 12 scenes, plan 2 hours instead, because things go wrong. And I don't know why, but I have this feeling that time always seems to go wrong. I don't know, but on my first short film we went to this location and I didn't get the key. Like, I was supposed to get the key from someone, but that guy didn't show up, so we lost an hour. We had 2 hours time planned, and we only just got all the scenes we needed in that hour. So all I'm trying to say is that you plan more time than you're probably going to need. So let's say you think, oh, I'm going to probably need 1 hour, plan 2 hours just in case. Always just an hour more, that should keep you safe and be fine then. And the second tip I wanted to give you, or the second thing I learned after shooting my short film, was that you mustn't hold back on directing your actors, because that is a really important part. When I was editing my film yesterday, I noticed that some of the reactions of one of the actors just weren't quite right, because you can imagine that one actor as a character then said something and then he reacts to whatever he said, and that reaction just didn't quite fit right. I don't know why, but I just should have taken that I hope that shooting's over now. Well, remember, don't forget to direct your actors enough, and just don't hold back. So I think I've had enough of the woods for now, so I'll go home and give you the rest of the tips at home. So, found the new location, and yeah, it's time for tip 3, the third thing I learned, and that is that you film the 3 seconds before and after the actual scene you are filming. You might be wondering what I mean, or you might be thinking that that is totally obvious. I'm not meaning just filming, but I mean not really acting it out. So for example, in a dialogue, let's say somebody's gonna look up and say, oh hello there, and then the person interacting who just, let's say, came into the room says, oh hello. And the thing is that when you're filming the scene, you should film everything. So from here saying, oh hello, and the person interacting then says hello there, and you film all of it, filming this guy and then the same filming the other guy. Because then in post-production, when you're editing your video, you have much more freedom in which part you want to use and how you want to cut it. Because you probably know the J cut or the L cut. That is when you hear the voice of the person interacting while you still see the person who was speaking before, and the other way around. Just to connect things, because that's one of the amateur mistakes of filmmakers, that they have one person speaking, cut, next person speaking, cut, and so on. You want to connect the dialogue together, so you use J or L cut. If you still don't understand what I'm talking about, then watch a tutorial, just search J or L cut explanation or something on YouTube. There should be a ton of tutorials. Anyway, I hope I explained tip number 3, or the third thing I learned, rather understandable, and it's time for tip number 4 and a new location. So, next location, next thing I learned, next tip, and that is that you take at least, I don't know, 3 takes at least, I don't know, just don't one take anything. I did that mistake, if you believe it or not. For some of you it might be obvious, but if I was filming this guy doing what I told him to do, and it was fine, so I thought, yeah, that's good, and 1 take, that's fine. So then when I was editing, I had absolutely no choice to change anything. I had that 1 take to choose from, and so I have to take that take, that scene, and maybe he would have acted it better if I let him do it again, I don't know. So take maybe at least 3 takes or so, I don't know how many are appropriate, but I sometimes thought, oh, that's fine, let's leave it at this 1 take. Don't ever do that mistake I did. Always take multiple takes, like I think at least 3 should be fine, maybe even at least 5, but definitely not 1. So now I gotta look for a new location again, so that I can give you the next tip, or tell you the next thing I learned. The 5th thing I learned is do not shoot chronologically, meaning don't shoot in the order that it will be in the film, that it will appear in. First, I'd recommend you'd order your shot list in different locations, so let's say location 1, 2, or 3. First you're going to location 1, and in location 1 you then first shoot the scenes in which you need actor 1, then the scenes in which you need actor 2, and then the scenes in which you need actor 3. And then, for example, the scenes in which you need actor 1 and 2, and then the ones 1 and 3, and so on. And in the end, you have everything organized according to what is in the scene and where you are, but not in the chronological way, which maybe isn't as nice when you are editing, but when you're editing, that doesn't really matter anymore. Just look for the scenes you need. It is nice when you shoot that you don't say, oh wait, now I need actor 1, 2, and 3, now you can just say to actor 1, okay, I'll need you for the next 5 scenes, then 5 scenes with actor 2, and so on. And I don't know if that is the official way how to do it, just I would recommend it to do it like that. That's how I did it, and it worked rather good. One thing you have to be careful is check your shot list, that you really got every shot, because sometimes things might get a little confusing because you're not shooting in order. And so I'd recommend at the end you just compare it with the actors, tell them, yeah, did we shoot this scene? And they say yes, so you can definitely tick it like a second time or whatever. That is the way how I recommend you to shoot. So, the last 2 tips I suppose I'll do here in the good old location you know, which is my room. And yeah, so 1 tip, the next thing I learned would be that you keep an eye and an ear, especially an ear, on your surroundings, because I have a little problem. I still don't really know how to solve the problem. Well, anyway, the problem is that I have this scene that was in the location where I lost an hour because this guy just didn't show up, and yeah, so it was rather touch and go. We just got finished, and that was why I probably didn't have an eye and an ear on everything, because the first people who were then having a course where we were actually shooting our film right now had been coming, and while editing in the clip I could suddenly hear voices in the background. And I don't know why, but during shooting maybe I was just too stressed or something, I don't know, but I didn't hear those voices at the shoot and I thought that was totally fine. Now, when editing I can hear those voices, so I don't exactly know how to get rid of them yet, but I'll see if I find some way to get rid of those. So the main thing I'm trying to say with this tip is that you just don't forget your surroundings, that if you hear something is in the background, you then wait until it really is quiet and then shoot your last few scenes or whatever. Just that, or especially important is, for example, if you're somewhere where there are roads near or close, be careful that if you don't want unwanted sounds of cars driving by or something. That is one very important thing I learned. And yeah, it's time for the next thing and the last thing I learned, and that is somehow a little combination of all the things that when it all comes together you might think it gets a little stressful, and it does get a little stressful. Why is everybody... I'm trying to make this video, it's the second time that somebody's shooting around again. Well, I think it's over now. So what I wanted to say is that you just don't let yourself get stressed, and especially that is important if you are directing your actors, that you don't become rude or anything or just stressed, because when you're stressed it might happen that you say, oh come on, get on with it or something, but your actors are doing their best, especially if you have 3 actors like I did for my short film, which was very kind of them. You just have to be careful that you don't get rude. Like, I mean, I'm saying I learned this at this shoot, even though I don't think I really was any bit rude. Just sometimes I noticed that I mustn't get too stressed. Like, I got a little stressed sometimes, but immediately felt like, oh, gotta calm down, even though we've only got 10 minutes left for 20 scenes. Okay, no, that's over-exaggerated, of course. But yeah, all in all, just don't get stressed, even though it is stressful sometimes, especially if you don't plan enough time. That's why the first tip is very important. That's pretty much it, what I learned from my first shoot. Maybe if I have a second shoot sometime soon, I'll learn something new. I hope these tips were any bit helpful for you, and if they were, I'd appreciate it if you like this video and share it, or subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet, or whatever. And also I'd appreciate a comment. For example, you could comment which of these tips was the most useful for you or the least useful, so that I know which tips were actually good and which were unnecessary. And yeah, that's it. I hope this video hasn't become too long, because I think I've been filming this since 2.5 hours. I'm not very good at this yet. I gotta get faster. Gotta speed up my workflow a little. Goodbye.